One of the things I've wanted to do for some time is to reflect on the nature of the change in sciences over the last 3 or 4 decades. I grew up as a plant pathologist and applied biologist by nature and became very quickly interested in the molecular basis of how cells work, how viruses make plants sick. At the same time, I was committed to using my knowledge to attempt to prevent plant diseases. It became clear that with new science and new technologies, the molecular biology, the cell biology, all the knowledge bases that are necessary to understand how viruses grow and make their hosts ill, there should be something there that would tell us how to fight against the viruses. And so I began to use that knowledge in integrating plant biology, molecular biology, biotechnology, even genetic engineering to approach ways to develop virus disease-resistant crops. The whole goal that I had was to reduce the use of the sprays, the insecticides, that control the insects that carry the viruses. If we have disease-resistant crops, we should be able to use less chemicals. And so as I got farther and farther into my career, I realized that the potential to do this was really quite significant. It's massive. Yet the more we know about the science and the more we become familiar with it as scientists, it seems the less familiar policymakers are. The more we learn the details of life, of what makes things work, the more concerned the consumer is about the nature of that knowledge or how that knowledge is used. We have the same challenge in agriculture as we have in many parts of our lives, and we find a reluctance among policymakers and amongst the public to see agriculture of the future rather than agriculture of the past. Agriculture of the future is done differently than it was 100 years ago. Today, we do our crop improvement through plant breeding and through making mutations in seeds by irradiation and choosing the best ones. In the future, and in the very recent past, we've learned how to change the genetic composition of plants in a much more targeted way. But it seems as we are able to move forward through these technologies more rapidly, policymakers are more and more concerned not about the rapidity of the science or the solutions that it can bring, but rather the concern that science might be moving too rapidly. We have concerns about the involvement of multinational corporations rather than university scientists who have been providing new varieties of crops along with the farmers for generations and for centuries. And so the change of agriculture has brought change in the perception of the public about agriculture and certainly the perception of the policymakers in response. Those things are of some concern to us as we face the growing challenges of increasing world population and the changes in climate that are coming about because of the growth in greenhouse gases. Those things together would imply to many of us that policymakers should be looking forward and helping science to achieve solutions that will mean by the time we have the next 2 billion people, we know how to feed them, how to clothe them, how to provide jobs for them, using the best science and technology that we can find. My project here at the Bellagio Center is to tease apart some of the challenges of the future based upon what the recent past has brought to us. And then I want to inject my own interpretations because I've been involved in this kind of science since about 1980, and one of the earliest groups to involve plant genetic engineering in their research. And bringing that history, I hope, will give us some ideas about what might be useful for the future. The opportunity to come to the Bellagio Center to start this project is meant that I can start now, not 10 years from now. I've been quite busy over the past 4 or 5 decades in my research and other activities, and though I've had the interest in beginning this project, I've never had the opportunity. Never have I found a time and a place that I could really concentrate on an effort that I think is important, at least for me as a person, And I hope for those who would read the product that we developed as a consequence. This has been a great place to start it because I have the time to myself. I have the beauty of the surroundings. But as equally as important, I've met people here that I would never have run into before. I find that I have connections, sort of one place removed connections to many of the individuals that are here. And interestingly, they're in the same general space, topic area that I am: global food security, health, and wealth generation. All of these play a very large part in my story about the importance of agriculture in improving the lives of people, but also the economies of people, and solving problems that are facing this globe through this century and into the next.